Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. We promised it in the last episode, and we are here to deliver. We want to talk all things regarding, just entering the workspace, navigating, as a young individual who just started working.
Yeah, as a graduate.
As a graduate, yes. And so...
why go interrupt le first job?
Come on.
It's
because you're on camera.
Oh, I am on camera. I think I'm the host. Anyways,
guys, I want you guys to understand the setup. Bonga can see that she's on camera. That's so funny. Am I on camera, Given, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Also, thank you, Bonga. How are you doing?
I'm so good.
Let's enter into the conversation.
It's a weekend without the baby, so...
Yes.
Anyway, I would define myself as early career stages. So I want all of us to have little nuggets we can give based on our stages. So early career, you said you define yourself as early career, right?
As well, yeah.
Yeah. And when are given?
Which career actually? Voiceovers.
That's exactly where I was when I was thinking as well. Yeah, it depends on which career.
I can only say one career.
But yeah, I'd also say definitely early career.
Oh, also early.
Yeah.
So I guess we're the perfect people.
Yes.
Yeah. I think my first thing, because I have to admit, I was one of the luckier South Africans that I got a job quick after graduating, right?
Birds graduate, that's why.
Yeah?
Birds graduate, that's why.
Let's not start that debate.
Let's not.
So I graduated December. By March, I had a job, right? So I think one of the things, I know this is a difficult thing, but if you have the option, be very intentional about what you want in the beginning. So I knew, I don't know anything, so it was internship, graduate program, etc. Firstly, let me start with apply.
Do you mean about what job you want after graduating?
Yes.
Okay.
So firstly, let me go back. How to apply for a job.
By the way, Bonga's in HR. She's a specialist, so she's the perfect person to
I'm not a specialist.
Specialist.
I am literally started working at 2021.
Guys, not anybody who sits in that seat. I decide to in. I will gas you guys. If you come to the show, and I will gas you up.
So I wouldn't say I'm a specialist, but yes, I'm in the HR space. So yeah, I know a little because I do look at CVs as well, and I do recruitment as well. Well, I used to at some point. So firstly, how to apply for a job. You need to tailor your CV to the specific job. I know this sounds tedious, but if you're unemployed, you have the time, do it. You need to tailor, so look for keywords that they want,
Absolutely.
And all of these fancy CV formats we're seeing lately, it's not ideal because we use a system, ATS, applicant tracking system. It doesn't read all of these symbols and what. So sometimes you could find that you are being disqualified by the machine because they can't read, because it's symbols, it's your picture, it's posters, it's there's I think you guys have seen the CVs that are out there recently that people are selling and all of that. The simpler the better your CV, believe it or not.
Thank you so much for saying. I did not know that.
Yeah, the simpler the better. Start from your current job. So you're a graduate. Let's say you don't have your current job. Societies are experienced. That varsity cashier job or promotions job, that is something. So that takes me to a point. If you're watching this,
you mean varsity societies?
Yes.
Okay, that's
so
interesting.
if, like, for example, I was in the Golden Key and I was a public relations officer of our Golden Key committee. I wrote that on my CV. In the SRC, I was a subcom for the academic office. I wrote that in my CV and what I did for that. And then Lifeline, I used to be a facilitator for a camp. I wrote that because that's the experience I have at that time. You're a graduate. So this takes me to my point. If you are in varsity and you're not there to just study, put yourself out there, do other things.
Bonga, I love this point. It is so important. I always say varsity is bigger than going to go get the certificate.
Absolutely.
It's a networking opportunity.
Absolutely.
And a networking opportunity you will never have again.
Absolutely.
You will never be in a room where you're chilling with a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. You know what I mean? After that, it becomes so streamlined that you now start only hanging out with fellow HR people.
Yes.
Or you start hanging out with fellow doctors.
Yes.
Your opportunity to have a lawyer friend on speed dial is in those brides, in those opportunities.
Yes.
Make friends that
Yes.
are lifelong friends that can help you in the future.
Yes.
You know, and not in a friend do this for me for free. No, really support your friend's business and pay them, but make networks where information and contacts are easily accessible.
Absolutely.
And then the society one.
Yes.
I 100% agree with that, because when you walk out of there with no societies, even sports, guys.
Yes.
You know, with none of that on your CV, it's blank.
Yes.
You know, those are your opportunities.
Put yourself out there.
Don't only
Study. Yeah. And the thing is, you think you don't have the time, but honestly, a little less of that series, a little more of, you know, you really, in your varsity years, do other things. I mean, school is the main thing, but even if it's, I mean, we had a consulting society. Some of those people that were in the consulting society ended up in consulting firms. Because we used to have relationships with consulting companies. You know,
that's
but it was a society, a consulting society. People are interested in consultancy. Yes, but because we had relations with the different consulting firms, they ended up being hired by those consulting firms.
I love this.
So put yourself out there. If you find that the society is not adding, look for another one. If it's not that, volunteer at an organization.
Society, it's a poet.
But if that's your career, it's fine. Didn't you travel because of poetry? You did.
Look, a lot came from poetry here, but
Exactly.
I'll be totally honest with you. I had my regrets, guys. I had the most traumatic. I'll get to it though. I really feel like I had not the most, but one. It felt very traumatic when I had to transition from varsity into the work environment. Because in varsity, I was varsitying. That's what I was doing in varsity. Okay, get a poetry, hanging out. You know what I mean?
Because I'm even thinking within the poetry societies, there should have been a chairperson, a treasurer, an events
Exactly.
They are
coordinator.
there, but that's the thing. There's only room for 5. Do you see what I mean? Exactly. There's only room for 5 guys. you know this thing text as I don't even know if they'll you know this thing where they do with societies where they give you funding for like the whole year. You know, someone in our society that we made chairman stole that money and then tried to make us recuperate it through performances. Anyways.
Yeah, so be active.
But that's experience.
Yes.
In the interview,
I know
when they
how to
ask
deal
you-
with workplace conflict.
Yeah, in the interview, they ask you what's the most difficult work conflict you've ever faced.
Chairperson stole everything.
And then expected
And we had to
me.
find a way.
Actually, that's I've never thought of it that way. Hey?
Yeah.
I've never thought of societies as having that much gravitas and weight. But actually, it's particularly with varsity societies, they can be taken quite seriously depending on the nature of them.
Absolutely. There were people who were known for their societies. Like the people who were in the debating society, they are doing very well.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
so,
it
yeah.
is very much a big stepping stone.
It is.
I'd say even from high school.
Definitely.
You cannot just be in school.
Even
Even from high school, you must be doing
Guys,
netball.
Mara, can I be honest though?
Yeah.
Guys, I was a head boy. I must just put that out there. Let it
Yeah,
settle.
yeah.
I was a head boy. Guys, it did nothing for me. Guys, I'm not even trying to be negative.
I get you.
It did nothing. This is why I'm particularly interested in what Bonga is saying now, because I get why varsity will benefit you directly when you're getting into the workplace.
For me, with high school, it was definitely just the confidence that came from being in things like that. The confidence that came from, I was a head boy at my school. Like, I'm giving an example with you. I was not a head girl. But I just mean the confidence of saying, this is the society I ran at school. This is what we did. So you step into varsity feeling confident already.
For me, it was definitely public speaking and debating.
Yes.
Because it didn't do anything in terms of didn't find my varsity, whatever.
Yes.
But I am articulate. I'm not scared of a crowd. I'm not your first year who will run to the back, or when people say lift your hand, I will not shy away.
Okay,
Yes.
no, I'm definitely on board with that.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So it's not a direct,
Yeah,
but it
it
influences
influences
my
my
experience.
No, you know why I'm saying this, ne? back when we were in high school, it was sold to us. If you are in the SRC, if you are in the SRC, RCL, man. Yes, RCL back in high school. If you are in the RCL, you are positioning yourself somehow. You'll be first preference when you get to varsity.
They oversold it.
They oversold it. That was my problem, right?
So it's like the whole thing. You guys said it will open doors. The doors.
Guys.
Where the doors?
Guys. Like
the way
companies would be fighting for me. Where are they?
Where are they?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it's really oversold. I feel like a more realistic way to tell those who are kids in high school is participate in these debate things, participate in the arts at school, in the sports, because it gives you a certain, it does create I don't know if I should call it an advantage, because sports is taken very seriously in varsity.
Yes.
So if you started taking it seriously in high school, you can literally get a scholarship
for free. Study for free.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So if you're speaking about those activities and responsibilities you take on in high school in that way, definitely.
Yeah. I think kids do hear things in a very exaggerated way.
You're right.
I mean, I remember, Ash.
That's what I'm saying. They needed to say things like that so that you would want to do it.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah, kids,
so
how about the low-hanging fruit is not a goal that kids want to hear. They want to hear these big dreams, and that makes kids want to. I think, because guys, even if you teach a kid, it's a lot of drama, and a lion is a lion. Kids are taught like that. But the older you grow, you don't need so much drama. And I think it's just a schooling technique to really emphasize. Because I remember in grade 4, I had a fight with a boy. His name was Ati. And then I went to Mr. Kushka's office. I'm saying all your names so that I remember what happened. And then Mr. Kushka, who was the principal at the time, he spanked Ati, but he didn't spank me because I was a girl. And then he said, Ati, you never hit a girl, whatever. Or you never fight with a girl because I hit him. And I was in grade 4, and I remember he said, for you, the punishment is going to be even worse. And he wrote in this blue book, and he actually went, he's like, this is your file. And indeed it had my name. He says, I'm going to write this here, and this is going to go all the way to your job application.
What?
Guys,
I
just saw myself being homeless. I went home. I ruined my career today. I was never in a fight after that.
Yeah, it worked.
All that drama worked, because I just imagined one day when I'm applying for a job, she fought with Ati.
She fought with a kid.
And it's right here.
Yeah.
I'm sure he went home and laughed with his wife.
Yes, maybe. And maybe he had been doing it to many kids, actually.
Yes.
And I remember I was stressed, and my parents never consoled me to say there's nothing like that. They were like, it's fine, you just need to positively reinforce.
Yeah, work hard to remove
that one. You see, maybe if it balances, you just got the one Ati one.
Yes.
And
they also laughed.
Yeah, and then, this is how you can balance out this
my gosh, I'm looking forward to my kid growing.
I'm telling you, I went back with a new mission. I need to balance out. That is the advice my parents gave me.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, yes.
So where were we? Put yourself out there. Societies, volunteer for companies. Obviously, when you volunteer, please be very careful of being taken advantage of.
Yes.
If in a week you can dedicate 2 days and be very intentional about the fact that, hey, I want to be exposed to this and this. When we're done, can I put you down as my reference? You don't start working towards your job after the job. You start way before in varsity, whatever, where you find yourself, whatever space you find yourself. Some people have never had to go to varsity. They got all their gigs because during high school they were taking pictures of people, they were what. They never had to go study. They had a job.
And that's nothing to look down upon.
Yes. They found their niche and they took it. So volunteer your skills, or not even your skills, but at that time just volunteer your time and then make sure it's a place you can walk to so that you're not spending on transport, etc. And even during your unemployment phase, if you can volunteer your time, because unfortunately you don't want that gap on your CV. So be very intentional, a few times a week only. Make sure you are clear about what you expect. I know the bargaining power is not equal, but if you can in that space, say, this is what I want, this is what I would like to get from this, and be clear about that. Be very careful of being taken advantage of if you're volunteering. Yes. So it was CV, right? We did the CV, we did put yourself out there, societies, etc. What else?
Maybe interviews. Interview process, how to successfully navigate. I'm actually even going to put my hand up to say, if you are going to go for an interview, there's this little booklet that I got, 64 questions, question and answers. It's the best thing for any interview. I reread it all the time. It's a very short read, maybe about an hour's read. And I share it with any friend of mine that's going to an interview. So email conversationcapital@gmail.com. If you're going to an interview and you'd like it, I will share that with you. Like,
or maybe put it on a Dropbox, then a link. I don't know if that's possible.
Something along
I think that would be better than a request.
It would be much easier if we had it pinned to this.
Can we do that?
Yes, then they can just click a link and download it.
Okay. Leave Conversation Capital. Don't email us. I'm going to send it to Give, right? And then you'll just,
yes.
Because that thing helps me navigate like interviews, because there's some tricky questions when you don't have experience. And the guy just really the author just goes through 64 typical interview type questions. I remember the first one is, tell us about yourself. And before I read that book, I would say, my name is Ursula, I'm from the Val.
Yes.
And the first thing he's like, nobody cares. They're talking about with respect to the job.
Yes.
Talk about your... And I was like, oh,
yes.
Is that what you're supposed to do? Like, I know it sounds silly, but it was, oh, wow. And after that, I don't want to lie, I started like really doing well at interviews after reading that book.
I think I'll only give 2 tips, because there's so much a wealth of information out there in terms of interviewing. But one of the first things is always find how you match the position. So important. That's like top basic question. How do you match this position?
Yes.
Like, how are your skills in line with this role?
Yes.
And if they're not aligned with this role, what are you doing what is it that what can we gain from you? How are you a match for this role?
Yes.
That is very top.
Yes.
And then one of the other things is the Amazon method they use for interviewing. Easily, you can find it easily. It's the SMART method. So just Google it or YouTube it. It's a very good way of preparing for an interview.
Sorry, can I please share this? I don't think I'll find another opportunity. Like, there's a job I think it was like brand manager. I found it on like Pnet or something, or Biz, what is it? Biz something.
Biz Hub.
Biz Community. Yes. So I think I found it on Biz Community and I applied. Didn't know what the job was. Didn't know. I didn't know all of these things. So I get a call and they're like, oh, it was actually quite cool. I got the call. Then they asked me things like, what's trending? Just to show how savvy I am. You know, what's the most trending artist? What? Don't know what interview is this. What's happening at this job? What? Nothing. I knew nothing. And then they're like, okay, come to the interview on this day. When I get there, we all arrive. And the thing is, we're arriving at a company, not that is hiring us, but that we're being hired through. So they're more of like, they do promotions and etc. So they are being used by an international company to hire us through them, basically, yes. So when we get there, they have, guys, one of the best interview processes I have ever seen. And a person like me thrives in an environment like that. Like, it had stations it was one big room. They had stations where they tested different things.
Yes,
so here
so
they
important.
tested your practical thinking. Then you went through these different creative interviews, and then you got to this one where it was like a formal interview. That was the last one. That was the one that you could see that they even they had an office where they had a guy who was pretending to buy from you and being a difficult customer, seeing how you handle a situation like that. I remember one of the ambassadors from the company that was hiring us. The company is AB InBev. So she's sitting in front of me and she's asking me, like, guys, this is how much I had no idea what we're coming there for. She's like, so how would you, what would your comments be on saying the product of the company? And then I'm like, what's that? This is the company and the product that I'm going to be responsible for. I had no idea. Literally, I don't even know if anyone, or it was just me. I had no idea what I was there for. Got the job.
Did you get the job?
Yes.
And why you got the job, why you probably got the job is not because of that single one. They're using, like you said, a mixture of ways.
A mixture. They watched me perform here, they watched me perform there. They saw our personalities come through. There was this dude.
Head boy!
Right?
Head boy! I'm not a head boy, I am too. I'm not a I am too, sir. The same person.
Like they took us in groups of 4s with that scenario with the guy pretending to be a difficult customer. And there was this one, guys, he was panicking. Like, because this dude would, like, you try to sell to him and he'd just take his phone and just start talking on his phone. Like, this dude was panicking, guys, and you could see what he doesn't get, that this is not real. Like, this dude panicked, guys, and you could see it in his face, and like, you ain't getting this job.
Yeah, I've also been in positions where I'm like, I'm better than that one. And it gives you more confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah. Techniques, actually, one of my colleagues is a very, like, calm person. She doesn't say a lot of things. And then she would say, she's the one person in a panel who'll identify the candidate that's not articulate. But once you give them a task, they'll be fine. And that's why a diverse recruitment panel and recruitment important. Process is important. So we use, I think it's called a game, I can't remember, but the technique Given's talking about is quite popular. I think it's called, I forgot the particular name, but gaming, something to do with gaming. So where people will go through different things, and then, like you said, the final stage will be the normal one. But recruitment techniques miss out on a lot of great candidates because I could be Bonga, I could be sounding like this, but I could be mediocre. You know, but because I articulate myself well, I could get the job based on that. You know, so that's why the traditional recruitment techniques will sometimes miss a great candidate. But if you have a diverse, like my colleague, like I said, she's very quiet, she's like, you know what, he's not great in speaking, but I can tell if we give him a task, he'd do it, you know? Another thing I needed to mention, so this is a basic, not basic, but it sounds ridiculous, but these days you get online applications that want you to fill a lot. So just to help that graduate that's exhausted, what you do, you create, like on your computer, you have you can do like a split screen, that one page. So on this page, put your CV, and then on the other page, put the application, and then copy and paste. So I used to not use that technique. It seems very little, but it used to be exhausting to look at applications. But since I've done that, it's been way easier. And a lot of companies use the filling a form instead of submitting a CV.
The application.
Hey, we'll get there.
So, but also make the internet your friend. There is so many techniques you could find online that could assist you in the whole recruitment journey. But those are some of my basic steps in terms of from graduating varsity, the work you do, your CV, then applying. Then I think I meant how I got to this was being intentional about the type of role you want.
Yes.
So obviously you're a fresh graduate, so obviously an entry level role. But we, because of our economy, and I'm not blaming anyone if they choose this route, we have the tendency of applying everywhere and taking any job. If you can afford to, be very intentional. I know I wanted to be in HR, but I knew I wanted to be a generalist. So I applied for HR general roles. But if I was going to apply for any graduate role, maybe because I have a BA, you can fit into a lot of things. I could have landed up in a whole different, career. So try to be, I feel like we're expected to know what we want very early, but if you can do it, if you know what exactly you want to do it, be very intentional. And then once you're in the company, now this is where all of us come in. Once you are in the company, firstly, you belong there. It's not a mistake that you got that job. That is the mindset.
Imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Yo.
Oh, I love that.
That is the mindset, because we have the tendency of saying, no, I'm a graduate and I get to be next. They know you're a graduate. They know how to be next. By keeping quiet, you miss out on so much. You know, in my department, I was the first graduate to be hired permanent basis. And I credited to my ability to put myself out there. In terms of, I was speaking in meetings. Even if I'm not saying add nonsense all the time, but I would say, yeah, I don't know much, but you know, so put yourself out there. You deserve to be there. You have a voice. Use that voice. Use those skills that you have, whatever skills you have that are applicable there. Use them and learn as much as you can. One other thing that I want to add in terms of that changed my mind in terms of my career. I used to think of my role as like HR. I mean, I was an HR administrator at that time. I'm just an HR administrator. And it felt very administrative and monotonous and all of that. But as soon as I related my role to the company objective, then that shifted my brain. If I don't do certain things, our audits could come back incorrect. My director can't do certain things. If people are not happy, which is my direct customer, certain things in the company don't run smoothly. So your role is bigger than just that entry-level graduate role. You contribute.
She's speaking like HR office.
Right? Yeah.
I've just seen the work side to Bonga. I've never seen it in my life. I'm like, this lady. It's already workshop.
Right?
It's already workshop.
Right?
Yeah, anyway, please continue.
Yeah, so think about yourself in the grand scheme of things. You are not just a person. For example, one of the roles, one of the things I do is a very monotonous task is helping people. If you're leaving the company, you do an exit interview and there's exit forms. But if I don't do that exit interview, the company doesn't know why there's a turnover. We can't alter ourselves to why are people leaving. We don't know why people are leaving. So it's more than just, so if I know or we know why people are leaving because of my little exit interview, we're able to retain more people. You know? So it's very interesting to have this conversation.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Once you think of yourself in the grand scheme of things, your role is not little.
I hear what you're saying, and as you're saying something about the people that work in like corporates and big banks, I mean, you guys can correct me, but every time I ask somebody what they do in the bank, it sounds so far from just what the bank does.
Yeah.
Exactly. Know? I'm always like, you do what? And they have to repeat it 1,000,000 times. Because I don't see in the grander scheme, what are you doing for the bank, you know? And I hear what you're saying. Understanding in a very simplistic way can sometimes add motive.
Yes.
You know?
So
or motivation.
Motivation, definitely motivation. Yeah. Because I was starting to be at a place where I feel like, but what am I doing? Well, it's admin all the time, etc., etc. And then it's building networks.
Yes.
Building networks. Unfortunately, and I think... you're there to make an impression because you want to grow.
Yeah.
Like I said, my role was a graduate role. It was only meant for that time. But then they saw a need for a particular skill of mine and they retained me.
Yes.
You know. So also find that thing that makes you unique.
Yes.
You've been here for let's say your first 3 months. You see, man.
But what happens? What happens in the case where the thing that you're thinking, guys, we could do it like this. It's a better way. I'm younger, and there's a specific app that we can use to produce this a better outcome. Isn't necessarily received. I mean, I'm in the space of like academia, different spaces. Right now I'm thinking, in academia, very old school type thinking and older people that really just want to do things in a very old school. And I'm sure many other people can relate in corporate and this and that, where like the management that's there are just like, relax yourself.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that space then?
You don't navigate. Unfortunately, you just leave it alone. I think you would agree with me. Some things, if there's really, because like I said, what I learned quite early, you don't want to antagonize spaces. Yeah. So if you've put in an idea, because you also must be selfish, you want progression for yourself. Yeah. So you must also be careful
of over antagonizing, ruffling feathers.
Yes. Or maybe target now this is your interim job. Target spaces that serve that purpose.
Yes, where you can be innovative, where you can bring ideas.
Yes.
Yeah, but not where people they are comfortable.
Yes,
and it's working. It's a working system for them.
And for me, I work in an international company, so you find other outlets, like maybe put yourself out there to find out what your other sites are doing, and maybe join that, because we work on an internet now. We don't need to be physically there to join a project, to join this or that. Just pick your battles. Some battles, please, don't be a Viva in the workplace. You're not there to be a Viva.
That's a very important one, yeah.
Especially as a black person, be very careful about, I mean, we want to advocate, we want to do this, so just weigh what's more important to you. There are some spaces you can't shake, you know. Luckily, and I'm going to mention her name, Margaret Barker. I went, she I would say she's a mentor of mine. Margaret Barker, I went to the workplace, and I'm a very outspoken person, what. And this person was making work a bit uncomfortable for me. And then I wanted to fetch them, you know. And then Margaret was like, if you discuss it with me, do you think you'd want to address it again? And then we discussed it, and I'm like, actually, no. This was not worth bringing up. So maybe sometimes have a soundboard at work.
Yes, I remember. I didn't have the advice. I wasn't wise enough to take the advice like you did afterwards, because it was a similar thing. The person said, like at the end of the day, the issue that you're having is an issue that people have with that person. So you're not the first one. If anything, you complaining about it, it's like you've just stooped to a level that, it's useless, because everybody already knows that person does that, or And then I was still like, no, but I need my day in court, and everybody needs to hear me. And I remember afterwards, after really getting upset and going on and on and on about it, I realized I had wasted so much energy on something that colleague had said to me.
And
let it go, bruh. Everybody already knows.
Part of my anger with that is that how everyone has just accepted that.
That's exactly what I was about to
express.
Yes,
that made me mad.
I hate that, because unfortunately workplaces do it, because it's not your job to be always bringing up that someone is difficult. It's the work. There's someone whose job it is to go and confront that person. Good, I'm receiving these complaints about you.
Yes.
You need to work on this, because it's making other people uncomfortable. Like, it doesn't make sense that you're building a workspace and then you're hiring people, and then you don't have someone who makes sure that everyone is in an environment that is conducive for them to being productive, being, coming to work and looking forward to it. Like, when you have that one person where everyone, when they have to work with them, they're like, ay.
Exactly.
And but you're not doing
How
something about it.
How has it gone on for so long? That was my anger. Like, I'm a new person, I must deal with this. You guys know this person is like this.
Exactly.
And I'm in HR. Like, shouldn't we be the voices?
Yes.
But like I said, that's not your role. You're not there to antagonize. Would I have been permanent? Should I have
gone on and
because that person came on to take a very powerful position in the company.
Yeah, imagine.
Ooh, so I like pick your battle.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's not your family, it's work.
Yes.
You knock off at 5.
Exactly.
Yes. If you want to excel, play ball.
Oh my gosh, that knock off at 5 is key. Yes. Guys, we give way too much to companies. If you can, if you're a graduate, no responsibilities, whatever, you can give that. Do it. But have boundaries.
From the beginning.
Have boundaries. For me, like, if you didn't tell me something, I was supposed to give you something by a particular time, you're going to ask me knock off time. No, I'm not going to stay up. And we give way too much time to companies.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And you are so replaceable, it's not even funny.
Yes.
So replaceable. Should you faint now, the company will not stop and say, you're fainting.
America has a term for it, quiet quitting.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people who used to go over and above for the company, now they do the bare minimum. That's called quiet quitting. So they've stopped being eager to see their projects flourish or getting awards or being, top performer of the month. They've just quiet quit. Like, since you're not willing to engage me getting a bigger salary, you're not willing to engage me getting into a better position, you're not acknowledging the fact that I'm always putting this effort, I'll just do the bare minimum.
Do better.
Do the bare minimum.
One thing I wanted to say about the issue of people going into new jobs and then wanting to change how things work. I remember I did have that attitude of saying, oh, how about if we did this? How about if we did this? So actually I wanted to say this. So when you were asking what place are we in our jobs, like is it entry or what?
Yeah.
So I'm in entry based on the context of the broader career.
Yes.
But at the place where I'm working, I'm actually more in a supervisor position.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm more in project management. My job is related to project management. So the thing about what I learned early, I remember I love coming up with ideas. And the thing with me is I'm not emotional about my ideas being rejected.
Yeah.
Right? I will voice ideas. Oh no, I think I should do it. I think I should do this. But there came a time where I learned, and there was someone who told me within the company, like I learned very quickly that there's a way I'm working. The company is full of people who think in a very particular way. And you need to, first of all, which was very wrong on my part, like be patient and learn the company. Learn the bureaucracy.
The culture.
Learn the culture. Learn like does efficiency actually matter here?
Wow.
You might find that efficiency matters there, but not here. You are trying to bring efficiency in something that actually is not a priority.
There's no need, yeah.
Exactly. But if you took more time to study, and that's okay, companies are within their right to not care about moving from paper here.
Yes.
You might find that actually, and that's what I learned, right? That's where I then later, I started talking more to this person who, Naya, when he came, he had that, and we started having conversations that were like, okay, I hear you. And then I started figuring out where change could be made and where change needs to be left alone.
Okay.
Yeah, and I found that it actually moved much quicker.
Yes.
That way.
What I did, like I said, I work for an international company. I started being active in our international groups. So the Black Society, like I was in videos, like I was in videos of what is diversity, like things like that. They make me happy. And like I said, it's there's no borders anymore because of the internet. If it's an international company, participate in other things. To satisfy that part of you that wants
to do other stuff.
And you'll be on a first name basis with people that could change your life. And I do have to mention, it's so funny having this conversation at this particular time in my life, because our company is closing down, and you're like, hey, well, you're giving people advice, but I remembered the retrenchment is not happening because my skill is obsolete, the company is closing.
I love that you're saying that, because there's somebody else who's sitting at home dealing with retrenchment. We've talked about retrenchment before, but just a reminder that it's not about you.
Yes.
As
it's
a
not
person,
about you.
your efficiency, it's just...
No, it's not about you. Maybe the role is redundant at that company, but it's the role. It's not you.
Yeah.
If maybe it's not the entire company that's closing down. It's not you that made the role redundant. The role has become redundant. Yeah.
Sure. I love what you're saying. Okay.
Your tips?
My tips. I mean, I'm right at the beginning of my career. I'm loving what you're saying. A lot of what Kevin is saying is I related so much. And also to you, I mean, recently... I've got different workplaces, so I don't know which one to speak on first of all. But I'm thinking about one, obviously the academic one, where they had invited me to MC the Women's Day, whatever, faculty event. And that spoke so much towards my other side.
Exactly.
My TCC side.
Yes.
And I felt so like you're saying, do other stuff that make you happy.
Yes.
Involve yourself in other things that bring joy and happiness to you, that, you feel like, oh, here's my little bit of expression of like who I am and in work, because it's not always that part of you is needed. And you speak of the efficiency and whatever. I remember one of the things I just felt like, I'm always so scared to say stuff with regards to work, but I remember just feeling like, oh man, these voiceovers could be so much better. We're teaching online and whatever, and I'm like, these voiceovers could be so much better, because I'm a voiceover artist.
I get you.
And I had to remember that this is not the platform for that. And so take a step back. So for me, it was like basic things, like I've got a lapel mic that I pop into my, and in a meeting, I just want to be like, guys, can we all just get lapel mics and just do this better? But I had to remember, this is not the platform for that.
Exactly.
They're just trying
not
to,
a priority.
Yeah, they're just trying to teach the science and keep it moving. So that's the example that I can give, where I was just like, my other side or my other, talents are interfering with like the day-to-day programming here. That's not what they need. They just need you to do the lecture.
I think another thing with bringing up things that you feel need to be done better is that be careful before it becomes your baby.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like you need to actually ask yourself, Uguti, do I want this to become, because I'm always the one expressing, I'm concerned about this. We're not having social gatherings. You'll be chairperson of the social club. Yeah, social commit. You want us to socialize.
Before you know it, you've got more work on your plate.
Exactly.
But you came up with the idea.
Exactly.
And the kind of work that will not lead to that promotion or that what.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I love what you're saying. Yes. I'm relating to everything.
Yeah, I wanted to say as well, I'm glad that came up. Do work that's going to take you somewhere. And say no. I know it's hard as a graduate to say no, but there are tasks that people will give you that you should not be getting.
They're not adding value to your career trajectory.
Add value. You can say no. You're not there to make tea.
I'm definitely somebody just in general who can get caught up in fluff. Fluff work, like,
I get you.
So I love what you're saying. Do things that will add value to the career trajectory. That's what you're there for.
Yes.
You're there to grow your career. You're not there to have fun and be chairperson
of
the social club.
I think the trick is learning the email language.
Ooh, yes.
Right? Where you're telling a person, but the way you type it and phrase it, right?
That's a good
because there's a thing where unfortunately we try to take the social media mentality into our workspaces and not realize that we're navigating relationships that have a direct impact on whether we're eating tonight, whether you still be able to afford to go out or travel in December or whatever the case may be. When things are that what's the word I'm looking for? When the consequences you might face are that serious, you need to navigate the relationships in a way. So the point I'm getting at is say no to those tasks, but know how to say no.
Yes.
There's a way of saying no to people
and
at work.
And who to say no to.
And who to say no to as
you
well.
Don't say no to just anyone.
Yes. Like there's a way in which you can, for example, one good trick is perhaps voice some of the things, because I remember there was a colleague I worked with at some company, right? And who was constantly getting work. She was being bombarded with work, and it had nothing to do with what she had signed up for, right? And then I was advising her, Guti, perhaps maybe you need to log the things they're giving you so that if someone brings something, you can politely say, I've actually forgot to mention, sorry, I can't do that because Mang came and asked me for this, so I need to complete this. And I felt like you would be able to show them without saying, guys, Kunini, every day it's someone new giving me work. You could literally present something to say, I've been documenting the list of tasks because I kept forgetting them. Now you're seeing it as you're actually being responsible by documenting things, having a to-do list, and you're presenting a to-do list that says, no, unfortunately,
there's so many
other things that I need to do. And that's just an example, which would have worked perfectly in this person's situation.
The most important thing, guys, oh my God, if you guys agree to something verbally, please follow up with a written down email.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So if maybe you say, hey, Bonga, you can go ahead with this project. Say, as a follow-up to our verbal conversation, I will be doing this and this, expected on this date. You guys in the workplace, you need paper trail. Workplaces are treacherous.
No, they definitely
not all of them.
I love what you're saying. Yeah.
Not all of them, but have things in writing. Always.
I really like what you're saying, because for me, just listening to this, I'm just like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really enjoying this episode. I'm relating to everything. And I'm surprised because we are all in different industries.
Yes.
So I'm like, you too.
Yes.
You guys go through that? Because you somehow, especially when you've only been in like one industry or whatever, you somehow think that it's that, place that you're in. But hearing these conversations remind you that, actually we're all sort of navigating a similar space. A work, and they all have their, everything you guys have said. I'm just like, even you are going through that. It's and I think many people are listening and just like,
funny thing with what Bonga is saying right now with regards to sending emails and you mentioning the fact that not all companies are like that. if you're from a company that's like that, and then you've gotten used to that practice, then you go to a company that's not like that, where you don't need to track every email and they don't hold you accountable to every promise you made verbally. You come across as the one who's always trying to start fire.
True.
Because I'm currently in a company that doesn't, and they don't track every email. But we're working with a person who works for a third company, and to them, every little thing. So they look like what do we call them?
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
You are always you basically just look like you are always the one trying to start. They've even had to contact that person and be like, chill. Like,
chill with the email.
You'll find them saying, oh no, I spoke to Given about this, and Given said he'd do it, and I noticed that it's not done yet. And everybody's like, whoa, chill, dude. This is like radio. We in and out of the office at very odd hours. We don't work according to a certain schedule. You understand? There's certain spaces, particularly creative spaces, where people don't work according to, you need to understand that schedules are not the same. The culture's not the same.
Yes.
People understand when you can't finish a project on time.
Exactly. I hear what you're saying. The cultures of companies are not the same. And getting into a place and learning the culture. I remember there was somebody that was new I was introduced. And the questions they were asking, they were worried about things that in my heart I was like, nobody cares. And nobody's going to look at
that.
But I couldn't now say that. I said, yeah, just make sure you do it right. That was me. But in my heart, I was just like, you will see in a few weeks that absolutely nobody's going to be checking up on that. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
And you could tell where they came from. Those things were important. And so that's why those are their points. And I just saw that different mentality, but you move to a new place. But I think the worst is moving from a chilled place into a toxic
environment.
Because then you know that it was better back there.
Exactly.
You know the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you get a job contract and you have agreed to certain things, so let's say it's not a hybrid environment, but you have agreed that no, my life needs a hybrid environment, to make sure it's on the contract. Any deviation from their usual contract, make sure it's on the contract. Because if it's not in the contract, there's no proof. Okay. No, but in the interview, we agreed that I'm not coming in at 8. My life allows me to come at 9 o'clock. You may come across, and I know these things are tough because of the power dynamic.
Yeah.
But it is your right to say, remember what we agreed on. I would like to see it in the contract that perhaps you're not going to say her work time is 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, because most contracts will write that, but then we'll say we are amenable to what they know the lingo they must use. But make sure if there's any deviation from their expectations that you have laid across, there's usually no recorder in the interview, so make sure it's jotted down, because there's people who've agreed to an offer because we agreed in the interview, but when they get to the job, it's a total opposite.
I hear what you say. Oh, guys, I'm relating to everything. It means we are all going through the same things as people starting out.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah,
guys.
Some of my friends have gone through these things, so I'm basing it on that.
And I know HR.
And just to to make people who are scared, because there's so much talk around toxic workplaces. Not every workplace is toxic. I work in an awesome environment. So just remember that you won't always get a horrible manager, a horrible what. Some workplaces are lovely to work in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I want to speak to, you spoke about your right. I just wanted to know this one for clarity. Maybe people already know the answer. When you refuse to give out a pay slip, let's say you've gone to a job and now they want to give you an offer, they say send your pay slip. Can you refuse that?
You can.
Yes.
And if somebody refuses you refusing that, what do you do?
You mean they give you the pay?
They ask for your pay slip and you say, I would like not to disclose what I currently earn.
Okay.
And they say, no, you need to disclose what you currently earn.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing.
But what do you do in that situation?
You navigate.
Yeah, you
navigate
you
these dynamics.
That pay slip is usually to benchmark where you were.
Yes.
So you say, I would like to see what the company is offering for this particular role, or the scale. And then if the scale doesn't meet what you want, I negotiate. And then if you're not looking at a point where you are unemployed, Because if you're unemployed, you don't have a lot of bargaining power, unfortunately. But if you are employed, you can negotiate and decline the offer here if they're not in the
Either
budget.
that, or there are cases where you can show them the pay. First of all, it's not something you have to do.
Yes.
For one, we need to make it clear.
Yes.
You can show them the pay slip, then explain to them, Uguti, no, if because we all know what it's going to be used for. So have an attachment, Uguti. The reason my pay slip looks like this is also because the expectations of where I come from were this, and this. So you might find that someone is coming from a company where, for example, particularly in academia, they do this a lot, where you are expected to be on premises 3 days within a month, right? Or within the week, exactly. You're expected to be there 3 days. Or you might find that you come from a company where you negotiated that I'll be studying part-time and then working on these days until then later you can renegotiate. If it's a case like that and you can actually support why your salary looks the way it looks, otherwise don't do it. Rather do what Bonga is saying and actually ask them for a mock pay slip.
And I have to say, it's very unfair that companies do that. Just be transparent. Because as candidates, we are looking for a job and you know the scale.
And you know what budget you already have for that. Yeah.
The only time where I think that thing is acceptable is if you earn higher.
Yes.
Then they must challenge your current.
Yes.
But it's very unfair. Very unfair. That's why in South Africa it's not the standard. But international companies, there's literally in LinkedIn you will see the range for that salary. It's transparency.
Okay, guys, that was today's episode of The Conversation Capital. I'm looking at the time and I have to mention this. Give you arrived here at around 10:30, Bong at around 11:30. And right now it is 5 minutes past 9 o'clock. It has been such a long shoot day. And I want to say this on camera so people know how much
exactly
we put into a shoot day. This last episode I've been yawning. I'm so tired. But we had like a load shedding interval. We had to pause for 2 hours. There's so much going on today. But it's been very, very fruitful. Guys, I love you guys so much. The subscribers at home, continue to like, share, and subscribe. And for now, though, goodbye.